Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Paula, and here we talk about the stories shaping crypto right now. Not just the hype or price charts, but real moves happening behind the scenes that are shaping the future of finance. If you're here, I post deep dives into the biggest crypto developments, what they mean, who's behind them, and how they could impact investors and the wider market. And today we're looking at one of the biggest players in the space, Ripple. From billion-dollar acquisitions to a brand new stablecoin and the end of their SEC battle. This has been Ripple's biggest year yet, so let's break down exactly what they've been up to, how this positions their business moving forward, and what it could mean for XRP. Let's dive in. If you've been in crypto for a while, you'll know Ripple's reputation has always been split down the middle. To some, it's a corporate blockchain giant, the project banks actually trust. To others, it's that one altcoin that never broke free and constantly dragged down by lawsuits and FUD. But 2025 has been the year that Ripple quietly flipped the script. After years of fighting with the SEC, Ripple finally reached an end to that case in August 2025, paying a $125 million fine, and with that, the cloud over XRP finally lifted. No more is it a security drama, no more frozen liquidity in the US market. That single event gave Ripple something it hadn't had in years: freedom to build openly in the United States. And honestly, they've wasted no time. Let's talk about those escrow unlocks, because every time Ripple release a billion XRP, people start panicking about a sell-off. Here's the reality. This has been part of their long-term supply strategy for years. Ripple holds the majority of XRP in escrow and releases 1 billion tokens each month. But the key detail, they relock most of it. These releases give Ripple the flexibility to fund partnerships, liquidity pools, or acquisitions without dumping on the market. In 2025, those unlocks have become tools for expansion, not exits. So when you see headlines about Ripple unlocks $2.5 billion worth of XRP, remember it's not all hitting the exchanges. It's being used to grow Ripple's ecosystem, which in the long run can actually strengthen the case for XRP. Now this part is huge. Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, launched earlier this year, is already sitting around $900 million market cap, fully backed by reserves. Why is this important? Because Ripple isn't trying to compete with Tether or USDC. It's building a stablecoin designed for institutions and banks. Think about it. Ripple's main business is payments and liquidity. Having their own stablecoin gives them a bridge asset that connects seamlessly to XRP. For example, a bank in Europe could send euros. Ripple converts it to RLUSD for cross-border liquidity. And on the other side, another bank receives dollars, all settled in seconds through RippleNet and XRP-based corridors. It's a perfect way to make XRP useful again, without forcing every transaction to be denominated in XRP itself. And it's a genius move strategically, because governments can't easily fight a fully backed stablecoin operating within regulatory lines. It positions Ripple as the safe face of crypto payments. And then we've got the business moves, and this is where things get really interesting. In 2025, Ripple went on a spending spree. First, they accumulated a stablecoin platform for around $200 million, likely part of how RLUSD scaled so fast. Then they went bigger, buying the crypto broker Hidden Road for $1.3 billion. Hidden Road is not some random firm. It's a major institutional liquidity provider. This gives Ripple access to regulated trading infrastructure, foreign exchange rails, and a direct connection to institutional liquidity markets. Basically, Ripple is transforming from a payments company into a global digital asset powerhouse. And then they reportedly started raising $1 billion to establish their own digital asset treasury, essentially a war chest that could be used to stabilise XRP markets, fund ecosystem projects, and support institutional partnerships. So in less than a year, Ripple went from being bogged down by lawsuits to becoming a fully regulated, institutional-friendly financial player. That's a serious glow-up. Right, this part hasn't made as many headlines, but it's worth mentioning. Ripple's tech is now being used by non-profits for humanitarian aid. We're talking about real-world usage, transferring funds directly to communities in need, instantly and transparently, without middlemen taking a cut. It's a great PR move, but it's also more than that. It shows Ripple's infrastructure works at scale. It's fast, cheap, reliable, and it's proving blockchain can do real good. And from a brand point of view, it's softening Ripple's image. Instead of the company fighting the SEC, it's now the company helping rebuild trust in blockchain. And that is big repositioning. Beyond acquisitions, Ripple's been strengthening its network in smaller but strategic ways. They've expanded their payment corridors across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where traditional banking is slow and expensive. Ripple's net adoption by regional banks and remittance services has grown, and several new partners have been onboarded in 2025. They've also continued working closely with central banks exploring digital currencies, CBDCs, using Ripple's private ledger tech. So while the world argues about CBDCs versus crypto, Ripple is quietly building the infrastructure that could power both. That's a long-term play very few companies are positioned to make. Let's talk about XRP itself because honestly, it's had a weird year. After the SEC case, everyone expected Ripple to moon overnight. It didn't. It had a short rally, but then cooled off around the $2 to $3 range. Here's why that's not necessarily bad. Ripple's no longer pushing XRP as the token that will make you rich. They're building utility first, hype later. And that's exactly how sustainable projects win long term. If Ripple succeeds in embedding XRP into every layer of its payment and liquidity ecosystem, not as a speculation, but as infrastructure, that's where the real value comes from. XRP's biggest strength is speed, scalability, and cost efficiency. Three things the broader crypto world still struggles with. So even if price action feels slow now, what Ripple's doing this year could be laying the foundation for future growth that's driven by actual demand, not just sentiment. The whole crypto industry is waiting for regulatory clarity, and Ripple is ahead of the curve. After settling with the SEC and launching a compliant stablecoin, they've basically made themselves the poster child for regulated crypto finance. That's a big deal because banks and institutions have been sitting on the sidelines for years, not because they didn't like crypto, but because they didn't understand the rules. Ripple now operates in a space where rules actually exist. That means that they can legally offer services to big clients, and those clients can safely integrate Ripple tech into existing financial systems. That's what will drive long-term adoption. Not memes, not hype, but compliance with scalability. Ripple's clearly building a multi-layered financial ecosystem. Layer 1, XRP as a liquidity token for on-chain settlements. Layer 2, RLUSD as the compliant bridge for stable real-world transactions. Layer 3, RippleNet and Hidden Road, providing the rails, infrastructure and regulatory gateways. And Layer 4, humanitarian and institutional adoption, proving real-world scalability. Put that together, and Ripple's not just competing with crypto projects, it's competing with Swift, Visa, and even central banks. They're turning into the missing link between traditional finance and blockchain. And that's what sets them apart from 99% of crypto companies that still rely on token hype. What does this all mean for XRP investors? Short term? Probably not fireworks. Ripple's strategy isn't about quick pumps. It's about building a regulated foundation that lasts. But long term, this could be massive. If Ripple succeeds in making XRP part of major financial flow that moves through its network, even as a background liquidity asset, the demand side of XRP will finally start to scale. More institutions using RippleNet equals more XRP liquidity demand, equals potential upward pressure on price over time. Combine that with a limited total supply, 100 billion max, much of which is locked up, and you've got a setup where utility, not speculation, become the real driver. That's where we'll finally see whether XRP lives up to its original promise, the bridge currency of the global financial system. So, to wrap this up, Ripple in 2025 isn't the same company people were mocking a few years ago. They've cleaned up their legal mess, launched a regulated stablecoin, expanded their payments network, invested in infrastructure, and are positioning themselves right at the intersection of crypto and traditional finance. And that's what makes them one of the most interesting players to watch going into 2026. It's not about hype anymore, it's about execution. And Ripple is finally executing. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe. I post updates on crypto stories that actually matter, not just the hype cycles. And if you came here from TikTok, this is the full deep dive I mentioned. You can catch more in-depth crypto breakdowns like this right here on the channel. So please like, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.